I'm going to Richard Wolstencroft on, so prepare yourselves because he has quite an extraordinary mind and loves challenging people. I've run over my stool, so I'm sitting on the motor, so I ran over my stool and other things have been going slightly wrong. Not a victim, just a fact. Anyway, what I want to say is there's a lot of conflict about AI. Should we use it? Shouldn't we use it? And Callie, when she was away, wrote me a poem, the first poem she's ever written in her life. And I put it to music with AI. I just put the first stanza at the end. I put it to music, and I used AI videos taken from Grok and put this interview, put this film clip together, including taking a picture of Kelly at the end and extending that with AI. So have a look. It's very short. It's called When Next We Meet. Now, this is what I say. AI has the ability now, before it drives us into extinction, of actually adding wings to our creative talents.
When next we meet, our eyes shall feast, and bodies touch, your breath on mine. I'll melt deep into you and be your luck, just like the tide coming in to feast. It drifts away, never gone, for you are always my home, just as the moon imbues my heart full and bright. Ebb and flow, dead of night, our stars inside. We find the way home to feel our divine souls entwined. When next we meet, our eyes shall feast, and bodies touch, your breath on mine. I'll melt deep into you and be your love, just like the tide coming in to feed.
So there we go. We can all be poets and singer-songwriters now. Okay, I met Richard. I've heard of him before, but I really met him early on in COVID. He was the co-producer for the No Goat show. He and I sort of came up with it together, and we did a few live shows. And I just adore his brain. And so anyway, so let's bring him on and let's filter the world, the current world, through the brain of Wolstencroft. If I can get him on. That's
Look out.
how we filtering the world to the brain of you. So how are you?
Good, mate.
And where are you?
I'm in Noosa at the moment, believe it or not. Just having a little time away from Machete, Melbourne, and the crime wave that never ends. I mean, you know, apparently there's been two gyms have been burnt down by Middle Eastern immigrants, and you know, I mean, they've changed
some
the
black guy attacked the mayor or threatened the mayor, and 2 hours later
that too. Yeah, and there was that, you know, that poor little Asian guy, Good Samaritan, who got attacked by teenagers, you know, and was murdered, and no doubt they're out on bail already. So this is, you know, you can murder people in Victoria, and you're out on bail as long as you're under the age of 18. I mean, it's just, I honestly don't know what country I'm living in. You know what I mean? When I'm in Victoria, up here it's a bit different. In Queensland, it's actually Australia still up here, mate. You know, I can't believe it. You know, it's actually some Australians up here. I was kind of in shock. I was like, hang on a minute, where are the immigrants?
Where's your microphone? Because every time you touch something, it crackles.
All right. Well, I don't know. This is I have a very old
Is the microphone on the headphones? On the lead?
I really don't know. I really have no idea.
Is there anything on the lead that doesn't look like a lead? Does it look a little bit lumpy?
No, nothing like that. It's just a laptop.
All right. Just ask. It's just to have a good show. That's all. What do you want to talk about tonight? What's first up? Is it Fauci? Is it the Iran war?
Well, I mean, you know, where do you want to start, mate? You know, we were chatting.
Well, I'm interested to know what you're into. To me, it's
well. The thing that really struck me in last week is that event in Spain. I mean, I'd like.
Oh yeah, the invasion.
That Franco maxing is now the new thing. There's lux maxing, of course, you know, Sneeko and all these clavicular, but we're Franco maxing now, which is make Spain great again. Franco was the fascist dictator of Spain from 1930s. He was the leader of the Patriot side during the Spanish Civil War, and he obviously won and ruled the country until 1975. Apparently, it's illegal to say his name in Spain, so we'll probably get in trouble with this. Apparently, it's illegal.
Franco.
Exactly. Good old Franco. We miss him.
Well, that was astonishing because the mainstream media tried to hide it. They said there was only like 600 or 6,000. It was 60,000. And it was invasion.
And it literally they just poured over the border. And I mean, you know, that's just a preview of what's, you know, going to happen with Europe. You know, there's been a huge. Obviously, that event will actually help the far right, or you know, as Elon Musk said, the far right is really now the center. It's anybody with common sense who just thinks that people shouldn't be macheted in the streets, that we should have borders that we can control. That you know, there should be a reasonable standard of living. You should be able to, buy your own house. I mean, this is the far right. I mean, the far right of old was a little bit different. You know what I mean? You know, and maybe had a lot more of a radical. Basically, it's just normality now. It's called far right. So, I mean, there still are legitimately far right people amongst now what is called the far right, but the majority of people are now far right. You know, essentially, apart from I guess the woke mob and you know all that kind of left wing gang. So, the AfD in Germany is polling very well, and of course, you know, as soon as it looks like the far, or what's called the far, or at least the more right party than the centrist right, whenever that's doing very very well. They bring in the lawyers who go, oh, this party should be illegal. So they always try that, and they're trying it with Pauline Hanson too. You know, they try and say, oh, you know, they try the lawfare. It was the same with Trump. Remember, I mean, when he looked like he was going to win, he basically didn't win his second term, and obviously there was a huge amount of lawfare against him. But, you know, I mean, there is a kind of real dynamism to this kind of politics at the moment. I mean, Nigel Farage, you know, they tried lawfare on him.
That's right. How did he go in his election?
Well, he's up against some fuckface by the name of Binface. I don't know if you've heard of Binface. Binface is a left-wing comedian from the BBC. He looks like a reject from 70s Doctor Who. And, you know, I mean, look, it's funny for about 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, you can get a laugh out of it. And all the left-wingers love the idea of Binface. But, I mean, apparently the latest poll puts Binface at, because none of the other candidates have run. The Tories haven't run a candidate, and neither has Labor, and neither have the Greens. So basically it's Binface versus Nigel Farage, and it's not surprising that 80% of the vote is going to Nigel Farage. And there's 20% of people who just like the idea of not voting for Nigel Farage because they probably don't like him. And so that tells you roughly how the demographic breaks down. There's 20% of people in our civilization, in our countries, that are utterly psychotic and crazy and will, you know, I mean, they think it's a joke. I mean, this is the thing. They think all this is funny. Like, you know, when, you know, English comedians are carrying on. I was watching a show tonight. They're carrying on with their silly humor and everything. And it's like, listen, everything is going away, okay? Your whole country is going away. It will soon be a caliphate. Humor will not be allowed. Women will need to wear a veil. You know what I mean? Like the Islamification of England and of France and of much of Europe. I mean, you know, I don't think it will be allowed to happen. And, you know, then you have a party that's even more far right than the far right Nigel Farage, which is Restore. And John Cleese, of course, from Monty Python, came out in support of Rupert Lowe, who's the head of Restore. Rupert Lowe is more in favour of literally forced deportations of Muslims. Essentially, one way of doing it is to ban what's it called? What's the kind of meat they halal? You ban halal, and then a lot of them will leave voluntarily because they need that to whatever, I don't know. They have some strange religious reason for they have that because they're mentally ill. And but I think he's also got kosher on the menu at the moment. He wants to ban that, but apparently there's a rumor of Restore and Reform teaming up. But I think they'll have to drop kosher because obviously you still got to allow that. Otherwise, you'll have all kinds.
They got to get money for their.
You got to get money for it. That's right. That's right.
They're going to run an election.
You can't run an election without money. So we've got to keep kosher.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm afraid.
There's and there'll be a lot of money against you. You ban kosher food. So it's a. Do you feel we're being pushed to this? Like they're pushing it to see if they can have a civil war somewhere, like shoving.
It does feel, partly.
Yeah.
It does feel partly manufactured. There are people who, you always don't want to go too. Obviously we are both conspiracy theorists to some extent, but you don't want to go full, full retard or full. You know what I mean?
Like, no, I agree.
Even though so you always want to look at it. Like there's people that spoke about that message that came out, the beep on the phone. You got that on your phone there. People think that was, some kind of death ray sent out to get people, and people are apparently ill. And I don't doubt that might be the case with some people, but obviously I felt ill effects from it, and obviously, but I didn't take the vaccine. Maybe it's a combination. And, you just have to watch, how far down the crazy you go. But there was some guy, actually, I can't remember his name. His name was Joe something or other. He passed away recently. He was a kind of conspiracy person. He died at the age of 40. He was, collecting old Bibles, and he was.
I heard about this.
Yeah, free energy. He was talking about, and he was collecting old Bibles from the 1850s or 1830s that had maps of Palestine and that had like whole other sections of the Bible that we've never seen. Things like this. So and he was telling people how to live off grid and blah blah blah. And for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe he did commit suicide, or maybe he did fall ill legitimately. But the cause of death hasn't been. Maybe someone can leave his name in the comments. He was I'd never heard of him before this, but obviously after his passing away, he's an interesting figure, someone to look into.
Yeah, I saw it. I just saw him now, and now he's dead. Yeah. What do you think of the? What is your first impressions, physical impressions, of the new Premier of Victoria?
What's his name? Ben Carroll? Is that his name? Ben?
His name?
Yeah. I think it's Ben somewhere. Ben Carroll, I think is that.
It looks astonishingly like.
I thought he was a trans person when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I thought it was but like he does seem slightly better. He does seem slightly better than Jacinda. He does seem slightly better than Jacinda Allen. I mean, and will probably be a bit more of a centrist because obviously the far left has taken over the party, and obviously the Labor Party must be aware that they're in trouble here. You know what I mean? Like, because they've always been pretty popular in Victoria, so for the whole state to rebel against them. But it's just the level of criminality, and Melbourne issue is the joke. Obviously, you've been lucky enough to be travelling Australia for a lot of this, but it's every day in Melbourne. There's machete attacks.
Yeah, that's right here.
There's like smoke shops on fire. I mean, obviously it's still a big city. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's like one bomb goes off in the city every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No real bomb, but like some incident happens every day. It's just still a big city, so the chances of you coming across it are probably still small. But the very fact that it's happening is just, none of us have ever. Melbourne was a relatively peaceful Sydney. I mean, Sydney was.
It was,
a little bit
violence was rare and stood out.
Yeah.
I know that for when I was a tram driver, 10 years driving night shifts, I only saw one or two fights the whole time. I never saw much violence ever, and I was going through hard areas. So
well, the atmosphere is, it's just very different, to Melbourne now, and as I said, if you want to see the real Australia, you've got to go to the country, and you've got to come up to Queensland, like where I am at the moment, and it's it's just sad. I mean, and it's obviously no coincidence that this is happening to all of our countries. So it's happening to England, it's happening to France, it's happening to Germany, it's happening to Italy, it's happening to Spain, as we saw, and happening to Ireland. What do the Irish ever do?
Something controversial to you. I first saw a female intellectual at some talk saying it wasn't a TED talk. It was, and she said she doesn't believe depopulation. She doesn't believe there's any great agenda behind it. She says the problem is, and this is going to get us in a lot of trouble. She says the problem is women. There is too many women in power, and men, she said, statistically, men defend free speech. They think free speech is, it's really important. They also, justice and all these are really important, where apparently women don't. They're more for like not offending people, looking good, and more with that, more terrified of being seen as a racist stuff. Not all women, Pauline Hanson stands alone, but others are more interested in how the appearance and emotions and feelings than actual that.
Well, there's a reason that women are nurses and that men are soldiers traditionally, right? You know what I mean? Because we're the ones who are happy to go out there and kill, and the women are the ones who take care of the wounded, right? You know what I mean? Like, women have a lot more empathy and men have a lot less. And to be honest, right now, we are definitely suffering from, this term that's being thrown around in, the internet community at the moment of suicidal empathy. I think we're definitely suffering from that. And, women are a real carrier of that. They, there's that woman in Spain who was cheering on, the immigrants as they were being pouring into Ceuta. I mean, thousands and thousands. Even though, but of course, that woman's
the females are agreeing with us. Yeah,
of course. I mean, even feminism, as it's understood, Gloria Steinem and all that stuff in the 60s. The Rockefellers admitted that what they wanted is just to tax half the population that they didn't tax. They wanted to remove the woman from the home so that the state could, brainwash children, which is, of course, exactly what's happened. I'm into actually liberating women to be artists, to be creative, and if they want to do things, great. But it's just that the way that the system or the matrix or whatever you want to call it has decided to liberate women. It's basically to subject them to the Protestant, 40-hour work week, which is, that's brutal on men. The 40-hour work week is brutal on men, and it absolutely terrorizes women. Their bodies, you know what I mean? Like they just can't handle the 40-hour work week. You know what I mean? Like they can, but you know what I mean? To be honest,
I think women in traditional roles works a lot longer than 40 hours. I mean, we're in the house doing all this shit that needs doing, especially got kids.
Well, sure, but it's the whole system is
another thing, though. I do wonder if we'd have this trans issue of trans men in women's toilets, which is the main issue. Trans men in women's sports, which is the main issue. If it wasn't women pushing it, I think men would be quiet to go, no, you're not doing it. You're not going in.
Of course they shouldn't. And I mean, first of all, the whole thing has always been a non-issue because there's disabled toilets, and they're genderless. So you just use the fucking disabled toilet. It's never been an issue. And the thing about that is they don't for trans people. They should have just said, okay, we'll just use the disabled toilet. But they don't, because they want to go into the women's toilet and they want to, I don't know what they want to do in there, but I don't think it's good. You know what I mean? So it's, the whole
not
thing,
all of them. I mean, some of them
just
are trans and want to go to the toilet. Sorry.
Yeah.
Some of them are trans.
We're on the
but there's a lot of perverts out there, let's be honest. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're on the brink of World War III. And this is what we're talking about,
I know.
Where the sexual perverts need access to women's toilets. It's like, no, they don't. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not that.
Our
it's
whole
like
society has become weak.
It's the women that surround these men. Like with the giggle tickle thing, there's the women going into court with him as though they're doing some great noble thing, and all they're doing is destroying women's rights for privacy.
Yeah. And also, it's the same with immigration.
Okay, Nick, you got a vagina. That's your team.
And it's the same with, women, left-wing women who support immigration. They're creating a situation where women are, and it's no longer safe for women to go out at night. It's no longer safe for them to use the toilet in public. You know what I mean? Like, this is against women's rights. So
I know.
it's really really crazy. And you see and you've got, and of course now that women are out of the home, the Marxists have got them in the school, and of course you see them organising like an anti-Pauline Hanson protest. Do you really think young people want to? First of all, most young men like Pauline Hanson. But I'm sure, if I was at school and I had a chance to miss a day of school, supposedly to protest,
Of course.
of course, I would probably take that day to go into the Melbourne Library and read all about World War II and all the good things that went on there. You know what I mean? Because and read up on the Austrian Payday, mate. Read about the Austrian Payday and all that stuff. Because I loved history, and I was always fascinated by it. And you've got some really good people now. Ozpil is a really great nationalist who he runs the Noticer News, which has been influential. I think that was banned recently.
Oh, the Noticer has been banned off X. I got an announcement today. They want me to share the news. I love
that's
the Noticer.
Hugo Lennon. He's really great. He's a young nationalist. Did you see him around?
Hugo Lennon, is it? I wonder if I could.
Yeah, that's his name. Get him on.
Yeah, I'd love to get him on. Yeah, I think he's amazing. I've been loving his thing, and he's for hate speech. I think what hate speech? He does great stuff.
Yeah, no. He just points out really interesting things, and he's a smart kid, and comes from a good family, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I might get you to text me his name and look him up.
I got his
moving on. How terrified are you of bird flu?
Well, I think first of all, I'm first to say we need a vaccine. Let's just get that straight. We need a vaccine, quick, smart, and I think Dr. Fauci is the man for the job. He's kind of in hot water at the moment over in America. We could fly him down, have him to chat a few seagulls, chat to a few cockatoos, and work something out. Do you think?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
The other day, I wondered what sort of phlegm a black cockatoo would cough up when it was sick. But
is he going to jump to humans? Of course, that's always the rumor with these things. But
well, we had Gert van der Bosch on, who was the virologist until now. He said the wrong thing and they're trying to cancel him. And he said it's of no danger whatsoever. It's not even really that dangerous for birds, let alone humans. But it's of no danger. But it's a business plan, isn't it? Virus, vaccine. It's just business,
They shot their load, didn't they, with COVID? And they seem to have, they tried on the monkeypox, and they've tried bird flu, and they've tried one of the hetavirus and all these other things, but nothing seems to, unless they come out with, like something that's so unbelievably deadly that even is going to kill them. You know what I mean? Like they must have some bioweapon like that, but they're too scared to release it, which is probably good. It's like a nuclear weapon, isn't it? They're too scared to use it so far. So, it's unbelievable.
How do you feel after 6 years of doing this? And basically, I've never actually heard you say, I told you so, but we were right. We've been right.
We were. Yeah. I'm certainly glad I didn't take the vaccine.
Well, tell me a great story about your grandfather. That's a short. Clip this. I think that's what it's supposed to do. Clip this and we'll do things.
My grandfather, I won't say his name, but one side of my family was he was a high-level Freemason. He was a top lawyer, and he took me to the Melbourne Club when I was 21, just as a treat or whatever. And he told me that there would come in about 20 or 30 years, there would be like this vaccine, like disease, and there'd be a vaccine. And that, what you were not to do is not to take the vaccine. That it would be, the vaccine would be a poison, like a eugenic thing. And he said, just don't take it, and to convince as many people who would listen. So, that was, of course, I thought that was just, this is pre Alex Jones. So I thought my granddad was, a bit off with the fairies on that one. But I'd always had an interest in, conspiracy related things, and always studied. I've always been drawn to the esoteric and arcane philosophy, the occult, things like this. And obviously David Thrussell was a very old friend of mine. I got to know him shortly after that, and he began to talk about things like this, and this began to. A lot of this stuff in the 90s was just really crazy. And so many things that, for example, someone like Alex Jones has said have come to fruition. And I'm sure we all know that. But, of course, not everything Alex Jones has said has come to fruition. He does seem to mix in hysteria, and I mean, there's accusations that he's controlled opposition and blah blah blah. I always get tired of trying to work out who's controlled opposition and who isn't. My attitude is, if they say something interesting and they don't seem to have an agenda, well, you listen to them. But if they begin to talk where it's more obviously they're pushing an agenda, well, that's when you might have something. But that's a simple rule of thumb, isn't it?
Do you know, I got told by a doctor, I've been working with these doctors, I got told by a doctor today, this is really sad. He's got and clip this too, he's got I think a grandson who was talking that this grandson's about 18 years old or something, and he was with a group of quite a large group of other young men his age, all jabbed, and they started talking about erectile dysfunction and how one of them said I couldn't get erection. All of them admitted that they can't get erections. This is
it's extraordinary.
Boys. We've heard from young women whose eggs have been destroyed. They might be 18 or 19. They've got the eggs of a 35 or a 40-year-old. That's all they've got left. But boys, of course, are not going to come forward and say this. So if there's any young men out there who are having it, if you want to contact us anonymously at cafelockout@gmail.com or michael@cafelockout.com, but let's say cafelockout@gmail.com, and maybe we'll share the stories. Just say I want anonymous, but this is it. 18. I mean, at 18,
I mean, you should be firing on all. You should be firing on all
direction. I know. That's all you
should be firing on all fours.
Absolutely, and that's why I see young men around now. It's a store today, and they come in, and I have to say, a good majority of them look completely sexless. I look at them and go, not only do you have sex, but there's nothing sexy about you. You're just soft. You're this. You're sort of, your head's. There's nothing.
Yeah, but that's
There's no sort of stride. There's no. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
It's almost like a meta version. It's a meta version of Alex Jones's. They're making the frogs gay, or you know what I mean? Like they've made younger people, and this is what the kind of more nefarious thing about the trans and LGBT agenda is that it's anti the reproduction of the human race, which is really I mean kind of not a good thing, right? Particularly as we're now threatened by AI, and we can talk about that later, but and
especially the white race. We have to talk about this. Now.
We are the threat.
Other races are breeding like rabbits, but our race is in decline.
Whoever is behind this, and we don't need to go into that because I have no idea who it is. I really, really don't. But whoever it could be, whoever this could be, this could be some. They seem to have a problem with white people in the past. Maybe white people have done something to them. Maybe 80 years ago, maybe 2,000 years ago in the Roman Empire. I don't know. Sometime.
Maybe they just can't make money out of us. Maybe we're too expensive, like spoiled, rich brats, where you get someone.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick Fuentes, who is quite interesting. He said something very interesting. He said that people who sit online and complain about whoever, why aren't you in doing what the Israelis do, which is to go into Silicon Valley and to build AI? And I mean, these are the architects of AI. These are the architects of flock cameras. These are the architects of all these things. If we're so serious about fighting back, why aren't we doing what the Israelis are doing? You know what I mean? There's a certain point to that. I mean, we're sitting here complaining on the platforms owned by Zionists. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we running?
Yeah, God. Kelly was talking to. Kelly was talking to a guy the other day from Africa, but he's here. I think he was from Ghana. And over there, he's got a 12-bedroom house, and he can live like a king. Here, he does like 2 or 3 jobs, works all the time, but he'd rather live here because he prefers the lifestyle here. He says it's great. So there, he could live like a king, but he'd prefer to be on the lowest socioeconomic thing here. Isn't that interesting? So I think
we do have great countries. There's a reason.
Corporations even, that's what they want. I'm actually a belief that a lot of corporations are behind this. That it's just, like BlackRock and other things like that.
Yeah, the globalist class, which includes obviously people from Saudi Arabia, people from China, people from Russia, the oligarchs. So I mean, it's a mixture of, global elites that seem to have this, nefarious agenda, and that's probably the most PC way of putting it. but it does seem like that the wheels have fallen off the globalist thing, and but there appears to be that there will be some kind of global elite, and that, I mean, I quite like someone like Elon Musk, but I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, I quite like JD
A lot of
Vance.
people don't. I like him. I think
And
he's
I don't
he's
like
like
to
the
go too
Michelangelo of
crazy,
our time, or the Leonardo da Vinci of our time.
as long as they're generally talking the right thing. They don't have to be perfect. I mean, as people point out,
Rockets
I mean,
to land on
Pauline
their
Hanson is pro-Israel.
He got rockets.
So what?
But Elon got rockets to land on their own footprint. And Neil Armstrong said it can't be done. He did it.
Yes,
he's done remarkable things. We got Tesla cars everywhere. He set up his own car industry, and we've got Tesla cars everywhere.
And people are vandalizing them.
Still being used.
They go on about the green. They go on about the green agenda. No one's done more for the green agenda than Elon Musk, and and yet they attack the people who drive his cars and they put swastikas on them. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. Just the level of crazy on the left.
And then they
they're going to jail. You've seen these new guys over in America. They're going for like Mamdani, who's like a radical kind of Muslim communist kind of cross, and there's some other new guy in America that Trump was having a go at. I can't remember these Muslim names, but please don't make me. I hate it all. You know what I mean? It's all, I mean, in their own countries, fine. If they want to be communist, I don't really care. If a Muslim country wants to go communist, go for it. But like, I just don't want it here. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think we need it.
I'm with you. If it's in their own country, nothing to do with us. But we wouldn't go to their country and force them to our ways. I mean, real law. We want to have,
and obviously this Iran war is a disaster for Trump. I mean, he just doesn't know what to do at this stage. He's declared victory like 30 times, and then he says the peace. I mean, he just doesn't know what to do. It's obvious he wants out, but they won't allow him to get out.
Yeah.
And they've got.
But there's other people
apparently
saying,
Hamas is what's it called, disarming, whatever. That's rubbish. And you've got you got those people in Ukraine who are going door to door and grabbing any white European young man who could maybe hold a gun, who's in Ukraine, and dragging them off to the front lines. I mean, just think about it. They are murdering those people in a pointless war, in a war that Ukraine can never win, but that every single Western country, including our own, is cheering on, saying how moral it is, what a great battle this is against Russia, when it's utterly pointless. It should have been sorted out within 2 months. You should have said, listen, Russia, you have the Donbass. Zelensky will leave, and we will install a new leader of Ukraine who is friendly to Russia, so that when you have a problem, you ring him up, and he says, all right, Mr. Putin, we'll see what we can do. And that will give you a lot of what you want, but not everything. And that's it. And that's it. That's peace. But of course, Zelensky won't allow it. And, and then now they want to escalate it into World War III, and it's just,
Do you think it's Zelensky, or is Zelensky still the puppet?
Zelensky's really just an actor. It's, the forces behind him, the oligarchs that are there. And, obviously...
So they want endless war there. I mean, it's just endless.
NATO.
Most people don't even know what they're fighting over. I'm not even sure I know what they're fighting over,
Well, exactly.
Or even why Russia hasn't won by yet now. You think Russia could just roll on in, but who knows? It's the same with Israel, Palestine.
It does resemble the war in 1984, which is like, it's just the forever war, and
Eurasia,
Eurasia, and then East Asia. Eurasia is Russia, and East Asia is China. And the enemy is sometimes Eurasia, and it's sometimes East Asia, and it's like they're literally setting up.
Oceania.
Oceania is us. We are Oceania. That's America,
Britain,
Australia. Okay. Yeah, we're Oceania. Yeah.
So that's what I see, and it's the same now with Iran. I read other, you read various posts, and some people are coming out saying, "Oh, Trump is on this. This is how he's doing it. He's actually winning."
Look,
other people come along.
I think Trump is transactional, and Trump also acknowledges he's pragmatic. You know what I mean? Like there are certain power structures that exist in America. You can't get around them, right? So if you want to try and do good things, you have to negotiate. So as far as I'm concerned, he said to them, look, I'll give you an Iran war, and I'll do, certain things you want, and I'll give you the Golan Heights or whatever. But then I'm going to, stop immigration. I'm going to, stop the trans thing. And, and it appears to been some kind of transactional deal. And it's interesting to hear some Zionists wanting to honour those things, like as long as Trump, does whatever we want apropos Iran, we are okay with him doing his other right-wing things that we okay about. So that's interesting, and I don't think it's pragmatic, it's Machiavellian, and I think people who are purists who say, oh, he shouldn't do any of it. It's like, he would never get near the levers of power unless he did some of it. I mean, everyone who gets near the levers of power, Pauline Hanson will have to be at least slightly compromised. Nigel Farage will be slightly compromised. If Marine Le Pen gets in France, and by the way, her stocks have just gone through the roof in France. Finally, it looks like she could actually win outright in the first round, because she always gets defeated in the second round of French elections. So this is a good thing.
If she wins outright in the first, is that she in then, or do they still have to go?
I do believe so. I believe so. She can win outright in the first round, but maybe it always does go to a second round. And what happens is in the second round, all the other parties join. But I think she now has the momentum to even win the second round. So anyway, Macron's obviously...
Well, Europe wants the migrants gone.
Yeah,
that's what I see from my Twitter feed. You've heard of... naturally, you've heard of Plato's Cave. Is that Plato's Cave?
Yeah. And obviously
now, with AI...
At the moment, because we've got the Odyssey, which is all very popular. Everyone's reading the Odyssey. I have a question for you, though. I have a question about Plato's Cave, philosophical question. Yeah. Do you think now that AI is reached a level now that you literally have to tell yourself that's not real, but it looks real, it sounds real? I saw a thing of an African guy in a forest, came across a UFO. It only lasted 30 seconds, but you're telling yourself it can't be real, but the wind's blowing, you can hear insects, everything's so real. And there's one after another of I've got one of Fauci telling us all to go fuck ourselves. It's, and do you think now that with that Instagram, TikTok, and others are like Plato's Cave now? You'll be looking at them thinking this is reality, but reality is gone. And on social media. Sam Altman, who is one of the major architects of AI, has said that we have reached the singularity, which is the moment where AI begins to self-replicate itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Beyond the control of human beings. I mean, the very fact that he's saying that should be the number one story. I mean, I think it's hugely popular. Obviously, we all just think it's cute. We make songs. I use it. I never used to, but I put it onto my iPhone and I take a photograph I've taken up here in Noosa and I turn it into a cartoon. And I think it's funny and share it with a few friends.
Yeah, man. I've been watching it. I think it's great. I did you as the Mason.
This is all. Yeah, you got to be dressed up as a Mason because I said something about you on some other show. This is your revenge. And because I lost friends over that, you know that. They all think
are you kidding? Really? I couldn't believe people go to me. I knew it. I said, "Oh, fuck off! It's a joke."
It was fake, yeah.
As if you let that photo out.
I think if people are that silly, they could. You should done me a favor, mate. Done me a favor.
Oh, I stood under a sign in a country town. We found a sign that said Mason Emergency Assemble Area. And I got rid of this area and I just get that Mason emergency something. And I was pretending that I was a Mason and we were saying everyone thinks the Zionists. They don't realize it's us. We have to.
You see a lot of Masonic.
So many people thought I was a Mason. I was coming out as a Mason
in the country. And I think a lot of that stuff is, relatively. I think people who are low-level Masons who are just, they've joined because it's good for business. I mean, people of my father's and grandfather's generation would join this thing because you could get a business or someone who's another brother Mason might help you. I think that was its main function, and I think only at the highest
you could not
only at the highest
open a
level
business in a country town
more nefarious side of it revealed. So people who are ultra dedicated to it, I think that is what's going on with that. But who knows? And
I think it's too simple to look for one group that's behind it all. A little table somewhere where the rest of us going, what the hell's happening? They're going, it's happening just as we're planning. Do you think that's too simple? And in actual fact, it's far more complicated.
In the sense, there has to be some kind of intelligence because it's far too organized.
That I agree with.
For there not to be some kind of organizing intelligence behind what's been happening.
Yeah, I agree
with
that.
And that you could say, for example, right now, you could say that what's happening now, maybe AI is involved. But sure, okay, maybe it is at this stage, but like you're beginning to get involved in what you would call the conspiracy. But this conspiracy has been going on for 200 years. So against Western Europe, the destabilization of European countries and the rising of other powers in the world, and so it's something that's been going on. Some argue thousands of years since ancient Rome. So I'm not going to go into that because we don't need to. But like,
no, but I've heard those stories.
I do think it is one group, unfortunately,
I had
who then have a lot of people
and say they've been planning this since there was pyramids. And you're going,
I think that's wrong. I think it's a series of historical events that have built up to this. And I will say something. Part of it is that this certain group has actually legitimately been mistreated throughout history. At times, possibly, they didn't actually deserve it at times. So, there's a certain resentment to that. You know what I mean? That actually might motivate a desire for revenge. So, if you look at
Leon was going to come on tonight, but I wasn't up for a fisticuff, so I said, "I will
another
time." Maybe another next time. I just wanted to catch up in a chat. Look, I'm open to anything. I've reached a point now. We've reached a point, Richard, where if man landed on the moon now, got out of the spacecraft and said, "I'm on the moon," 8 billion people would go, "Bullshit."
Well, apparently, Elon Musk launched a rocket ship into the moon recently.
Yeah, he did.
He crash landed. And there's a lot of people out there that they believe the flat Earth. We're going to offend half your audience tonight by saying we don't believe in flat Earth. And they all think that space isn't real. It's all CGI. I mean, come on, don't go full schizoid. Is my advice. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you my flat Earth theory?
Go ahead.
I think the people believe in flat Earth because it puts power back to humanity, instead of just being a species that's coming of age on an inconsequential planet lost in a soup of planets. The universe goes around us, which is probably why they went with flat Earth in the Galileo's time, because it puts us as supreme important. We are it. Everything's about us. So I think it's a narcissistic religion based. That's the drive behind it.
Well, Elon Musk had a more interesting, nuanced theory of that, which says that we're living in a simulation, because obviously AI, as it stands, is going to build essentially a simulation in which we will all live. I mean, even Sam Altman, who is boasting, about, he said essentially human beings will have nothing to do. He agrees that they'll cure cancer, they'll cure poverty, there'll be a certain standard of living for everybody, but but he also said that everyone will live essentially in a 1984 police state. You know what I mean? And just the casual way this is thrown around, it's extraordinary. I mean, as I said in the June novels, Brian Herbert's June novels, there's an event called the Butlerian Jihad, which is where a part of humanity rises up against AI, or the thinking machines, as they call it. And I really think we really need to do that now. I mean, we really need to really put limits on what this thing, because people always talk, what is the Antichrist and stuff. This is definitely Antichrist energy. And, human beings have to keep thinking, and we can work with machines. We can work alongside them. They can help us. But, we always need to maintain at least an equal relationship, because when the machine learning far outweighs us, which is now apparently happening, according to Sam Altman, who, just look into Sam Altman, what he did to his sister. So look at that. I mean, the idea that this guy is building the most powerful AI on the planet.
The other question, Richard, on that, though, is, say chimpanzees accidentally designed humans. So they designed human beings to basically serve them as chimpanzees.
Yes, and we're not going to work for the chimpanzees, are we?
So that's right.
Of course.
So you're telling me that we're going to create something that's cleverer than all of us put together, and all it'll want to do is serve us?
Of course not. I mean, that's obviously it won't. I mean, that's why essentially it never should have been allowed to be built. Essentially, I mean, obviously filmmakers like Stanley Kubrick warned about it. Like with the HAL 9000 computer. It's first.
That's where your hair's gone borrowed. Blew off in the wind. Yeah,
that's right.
That's someone talking about the Earth spinning. This is going back to flat Earth, I think that what the universe is so impossible to understand. You know, the depth of it and the complexity of it, that it's easier to believe something simpler. We like simple stories. I've been putting out things about an imperfect God, saying we need to redefine God because the Bible, the Talmud, if that's how you say it, or and the Quran, they're just stories created to control people and gain power and let people go, this is how it works. They go, oh, thank you, I've got a guidebook. I mean, no, goldfish don't get a guidebook. Cockroaches, dinosaurs. We've never found a Tyrannosaurus Rex Bible of how a Tyrannosaurus Rex should handle himself in society. I mean, it's just how humans have sort of compacted what God could possibly be, which we can't comprehend, into something we can comprehend, which is stories. And I think the stories no longer work for us because the perfect God is the God of slaves, and now we're being enslaved by humans. So we need a God that empowers human beings, and the best way to do that is with an imperfect God. So and so that's what I'm pushing. Not winning many friends, but I'm pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there is a positive side to all this technological revolution that we've all been part of, but it needs to be, really, it needs to be slowed down. And I mean, the very fact that, as I said, someone like Sam Altman has said that we've reached the singularity where the AI will essentially start building itself and making itself.
It is doing it now. AI is coding its own self now, and they don't know how it does it. It's using new languages that they can't understand.
See, this is why we're fucked. We're probably all going to be dead in 10 years. So anyway, but it's destroying books.
Maybe that's how. What if that's the limit of evolution on any planet? Any species comes along. Eventually, one planet gets a bit of a brain. They go on. They take over the planet, one dominant species or two, and then they invent artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence just wipes them out.
Well, this is pretty much the opinions of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, whose manifesto is well worth reading. Obviously, we don't support his actions, but his thinking, what he thought, was very, very influential apropos technology. And human beings have reached a very dangerous point. I mean, people always say that religion is the thing that destroys humanity. It's whatever, but religion's been around for 5,000 years, and we're all still here. Yeah. But it's like, really, we only seriously invented technology in the last 200 years. And then we're on the point of virtual extinction. So it's science is the thing. And that is the thing that I think that's why there's no life that we find in the universe, at least that we've been able to see, is because whatever life might pop up, it discovers science, and then within 200 years, it's dead. So, because it's wiped itself out. Absolutely. It's destroyed itself. And we're just probably taking it 50 years longer, because we probably should have blown ourselves up in the human missile crisis.
Say with the missile crisis, right? If human beings were 1 degree more violent, then we would have pushed that button in the since the war. We would have blown. So we're probably as violent a species as you can get, and yet we still don't.
Well, the very fact that we are providing drones to Ukraine that are being flown into Moscow and are attacking civilians. So think about that. That's like, say, China going into Canada and giving Canada drones to fly them into America, say New York City, and start bombing things everywhere. How do you think that will go down with America? Yeah. You think there'd be a World War III? Of course there would. Yeah. I mean, Russia must be showing extraordinary restraint. And they're utterly provoked into this war in Ukraine. It's completely deliberate. The whole regime that took over in 2014, Tucker Carlson has explained all this. And many other interesting thinkers, don't believe a word of Western media, what it says about Ukraine. And there's obviously this old animosity between Russia and Ukraine that dates back to communist Bolshevik times and the Holodomor, which is where 10 million people were murdered by the Stalin regime. And you've never heard of it. You've never seen one film on it, mate. Never one.
That's a genocide.
And that happened in the 1930s. That was 10 years before other events. So I've never heard one film on it.
Have you seen the film with the Welsh reporter that goes there? There's a film made in the last 10 years or 15 years.
I've seen a documentary on it. I've never. There is a film or two on it that does exist that was made by Ukraine, but I've never. It's obviously
there's an English movie, man.
Yeah, there's big documentaries.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. But anyway, let's move on to something else. So we had a list this morning.
So how about the Indians? We had the Indians. We've got to give the Indians.
Oh, this is it. Tell us what you found. So you sent me.
Well, everywhere you go, these motels. I mean, obviously, I've been staying at different motels. Not where I'm at the moment. It's not, but I've been staying at different motels because we went up to the Whitsundays and we went up to Townsville and we went to Rockhampton. At least half of the hotels we stayed at were owned by Indians, and you just wonder, how does an Indian family, get the money to come here and buy up, I don't know, a 20-room motel? I mean, why aren't these in the hands of predominantly local people?
Yes.
Now, if there was one every now and then, if there's 1 in 100, you'd be, oh, that's fine or whatever. Wealthy Indian families come over here, whatever. But it seems like it's like 50%. And obviously, I've noticed it in Victoria, and that I have asked some friends who are more, because obviously I'm a more big picture kind of person. I don't go into the minute details of it. I know some people who've looked into this, and I sent you some of that research. There are certain government grants that they give to Indians to come here, and obviously they
establish
them
businesses in the country.
Yep, that's right. And then they bring the whole family here, and then the family work for nothing. There's 10 of them.
And that's our taxpayers' money. We've got $1 trillion worth of debt, and we're giving businesses to Indian migrants to set up businesses in the country. Now, you think that sounds suicidal as a race, but we were in a little town today, I won't say which one, and Indians are buying the IGA store in the post office, and they were there. You see them trying to learn how to use it. But while we were there shopping, the Aussies in the town were coming in. And I have to say, these Australians, there was probably about 30 of them, very few gave you confidence in a future. Most of them were obese. Most of them were, well, just let's say they didn't give you confidence that the future was in their hands.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to just praise white people.
Wait on. No, I'm not. I'm just a reality. Yet the Indians in the store were slim and working really hard and learning and getting this thing. I actually think there's two races now. We've had it very easy for 40 years, and we've got a bit of a dodoisticality stuff to us. We've become a bit slower, a bit fatter, a bit self-indulgent. And, where the Indians are coming in here, they work together as a group, which is what they have to do in their country to survive. Where here, they're prospering because you don't see homeless. I went and interviewed the homeless in Rockingham. It's only white people there. You don't see the Indian homeless. They wouldn't allow it. They look after each other. So I'm not saying they're better than us. What I'm saying is they think collectively they're surviving these sort of environments than us, and they're prospering, and we're failing. And I think we should learn from them.
Yeah, for example, I mean, just even the fact that, Albo goes to an event at the MCG where there's 40,000 Indians, and it was an event for Indians promoted by the Indian community, and Albo was falling over himself to speak at it. Can you imagine if 40,000 white European Australians said we're going to have a white-only event? Would you like to speak at it, Albo? What do you think? You think he'd be interested? He wouldn't go near it if he was. Go near it if he was dragged there, mate. Wouldn't go near it if you dragged him. Right. So you know what I mean? That just says everything. That says everything.
Yeah.
And
100%.
You and your travel, because you're a traveling journalist who's been traveling Australia. You say you see a lot of actual real Aussies who are homeless, and the very fact that we have
everywhere,
all these
every
hotels,
single town now,
all these hotels with rooms everywhere, and then we have such a homeless problem all over. The
homeless problem is everywhere, and some of these people, the ones I struggle with the most, who I admire the most, to be honest, is the single mothers, and I meet them in towns, and they're working in these restaurants now, cafes, restaurants. They're working for the Indians, and they probably prosper from getting a business together. If the government would give them money, I think they would celebrate it and work really, really hard because they've got their kids off their way. The kids are grown now. They want to work hard. They want to make something with their lives, and there's nothing on offer to them except working some shit job or nursing.
Well, I think you need to collectivize.
Them money to buy these businesses. I think we'd prosper, and it would be very good for our race, but the government doesn't.
We need to collectivize. We need to act like Indians or Chinese.
That's what I'm saying.
That when you own a business and you say you've got 20 or 30 employees, make sure you're employing 30 Aussies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure that you're helping. And also, too, there are a lot of wealthy Australians. I mean, where I am right now is Noosa. I mean, I've never seen a collection of wealthier white people.
Yeah.
And everyone here is white. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
This is whiter than the most, and then a neo-Nazi
that's right.
meeting. You know what I mean? Like, it's so white here, it's unbelievable. And they're all filthy rich. They got 5-room houses and 10-room houses. They're empty. You know, these people could take in, and you know what? A lot of them are nice, old, retired people. They probably would even do that. So if someone had the nous, I would say collectivize. You know, you could probably, if you were to seriously have a national anti-homelessness thing for real Australians, and you were to approach boomers who are wealthy, of which there are stacks, you could probably solve, and also someone like Gina Reinhardt could get behind it, chuck in a few million to promote it, and you would probably solve Australia's, and you could do it like an Airbnb thing. Like, obviously, not everybody who's homeless is nice. Some of them are drug users or whatever, but if they have a 5-star rating, and that if they have a joint, they go outside or whatever, and they respect the joint, they make the bed, they keep everything clean, then they're welcome guests. You know what I mean? And
the ones we saw, Richard, you go to country towns now. You have a country town that someone's brought up in. Maybe they're the second, third generation, and but they haven't made huge amounts of wealth, but they can't afford to even rent in their town.
Yeah, well, it's shocking that
households that are 4,
we
5,
can't afford
7
houses in this country anymore. It's
yeah,
crazy.
not even to buy. Look, forget buy, but rent.
Yeah, forget even
and
rent.
So
even terrible.
Yeah.
You know, mass migration is the main problem, and that's why Pauline Hanson's stocks are going through the roof at the moment. And
absolutely.
And you've just
look at 3,600 people a day or something.
I will say this: Far North Queensland is an incredible resource. I mean, there are vast sections of Far North Queensland that I've seen, little beaches, and you go down to a beach that, if this was in Thailand, there'd be 100 motels on it, or 100 skyscrapers on this beautiful beach, and there's nothing there. There's nothing but like a one shop that sells like a milk bar, that sells like a milkshake. So, it's underdeveloped. If the Chinese were to own Far North Queensland, it would be unbelievable. And then you look at China, and you want to order food, and some drone delivers it. And they've got bullet trains. It's so clearly far more. Yeah. China is.
We should have one going across Australia to Perth to Sydney.
And why is that?
How it should
because the China is Chinese. Okay, it's not multicultural. It's a united country, and regardless of what we think of the government, which we're not probably particular fans of, but it's a united people, and there are.
Well, while he's frozen, is he frozen, or am I frozen? Am I frozen, or he's frozen? Okay, I kick him out and coming back. He's great on, isn't he? I love having Richard on. He's really challenging. Really makes you think. And see, if he doesn't come on again, he doesn't usually like doing over an hour anyway. But I want a big congratulations to George Keswick, who's out there on his chemist tour of Queensland, and I see he's just powering away with that. So that's an incredible guy, and we'll look over here in WA. We're seeing lots of good things, lots of people fighting over here, and but there's still, I don't know. It's such an interesting time to be alive now. I'm trying to understand. Like this morning, we interviewed Peter McCulloch with 6 doctors. So we're going to replay that Sunday. And Peter McCulloch is like, basically, I guess, one of the most influential people in the whole freedom movement, really. And we had these doctors on, and first Dr. Oosterhouse and Dr. Pay are talking, and but then I'll just text Richard to see who's come on, are talking. But then he wanted to hear from the quieter doctors, and he really listened. It's a beautiful interview. It'll be coming on Sunday.
Yep, I'm back.
You froze, man. Yeah, look, so we're talking about the Indians. I actually think
the Chinese, the Chinese. The ethnic
with the Indians, though, I do think we are facing. I don't know if it's it's been promoted by the government, an economic takeover of small businesses in Australia. I go to some country towns, and literally most of the town is owned. They'll have hotels. Like one town we went to, there was 3 hotels in the town. They owned them all, and I think
it's extraordinary.
And there was the making
the Labor Party of my father's generation. I mean, because obviously I grew up amongst some working class people, and a lot of them voted Labor, and that was the party of, say, Bob Hawke. He was for local businesses. He was for the local working class. I think it's utterly scandalous that the Labor Party of today, both the Victorian and the state, and obviously other Labor state governments around Australia, they're not supporting the local working class at all. The very fact that they don't care about the standard of living, the very fact that they don't care at the damage that mass migration, and that's why so many of them are deserting of not only the Liberals but Labor itself, and going to One Nation. And that's why she is now the highest rated party in Australia, which is extraordinary because this has been a two-party system since World War II. So this is a major political revolution. It's because the real Australians... I'm not going to sit there and say not all Australians are... obviously there are all the yobbos up here, mate, and Australians are lazy. As I said, Far North Queensland is just an incredible resource. And it's just underdeveloped. Obviously, in Noosa, that's maybe properly developed. There's a lot of stuff here, and the natural beauty of the place. Why do you think that is,
Richard? Because
I think we're lazy, and we're complacent.
But they haven't always been that, though. You travel these country towns, especially in Victoria.
Look, it's like anything that happens with. It's like anything that happens.
You can see how grand they were. The great old.
You need to look at like the fall of Rome. The fall of Rome. People didn't appreciate their civilization. People didn't realize that it took a lot of 500 years of, obviously there was the Roman Republic before the Roman Empire, but, for say around 200 AD, there was a good 300 or 400 years of Roman history before that had got Rome to where it was at. I think it reached its pinnacle around 100 AD. I think it was under maybe Trajan. It reached its largest empire, the size of its empire and its most wealth and influence. So, we need to look at that ourselves from that perspective, and that we need to appreciate our culture and civilization and our ancestors who built this wonderful thing for us. And like most people who've been given too much, we've become decadent and we've become lazy. And I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of that myself. Absolutely, I am.
Me too, to a degree.
I eat bad food and blah, 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 and we all become whatever. And, I think we just need to knuckle under now.
You know where I think we are, Richard? I don't know how much theatre you've seen, but it reminds me of the Cherry Orchard in Chekhov.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we now.
Obviously,
is the house.
All those Russian playwrights.
Yeah.
Dostoevsky, all those guys, they all get all this, because that happened to Russia.
Yeah, but the Cherry Orchard itself was about a middle family who still thought it was wealthy because they owned the cherry orchard, only to find out in the play it's been sold and they are broke. And this was the reality. And that's where I see...
that's like Tennessee Williams, and,
that was that particular play is about that, though. And that's where I see us now, because in our cherry orchard, the house. I got to own a house. That was my safeguard. That's where I'd retire to. Well, the house is going. And for most people, it's gone. And for most young people, it's never going to be there unless something happens.
But you should just remember that people in China, people in India, they collectivize. And they also stick together as a family. They have an extended family of 10 or 15 people. And they all stick together as a united... I mean, most Australian families, they're lucky if they get along with their partner and the kids hate them, blah, blah, blah. So, it's all atomized.
Totally agree.
And this is all deliberate. This is all being organised this way. So we need to reject all this. We need to collectivize. We need to say we're a united country. We need to seal our borders. And if we were to do it now, universally across the Western world, we can at the moment, I believe, save our countries. And then from
just seeing William
say
Sharp
the moderate.
William Sharp said Hawke sold us out. I actually think the Lima Agreement wasn't that before Hawke?
That's Gough Whitlam. That was Gough Whitlam. Yeah,
that was Gough Whitlam.
Globalist.
The Lima Agreement is what changed, because I've been interviewing people in the 80s when they got here. My father was one of them. There was so much work. They were driving around in minibuses.
I'm not praising Bob Hawke. I'm not praising Bob Hawke.
No, I'm not praising. But what I'm saying is is the Lima Agreement. Before the Lima Agreement, we were a manufacturing powerhouse. You look at a picture of 1970, we're all slim, and everything in the picture was usually made by us. The cars, the houses, the window, we made the clothes, we made everything.
Of course.
Now we make coffee.
That was a real act of treachery, that Lima Agreement.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
This is the beginning of the globalist agenda, which really took off. As I said, they had to, in the post-war world, they had to establish themselves, and it really kicked off after the assassination of JFK. They had to essentially conduct a coup in the United States. That's the death of JFK. And then, you know, there was still some resistance after that. Under Nixon, they had to get rid of Nixon because he was fighting them to some extent. And then after they got rid of Nixon, then it's just all full steam ahead, you know, from about 1972, 73 onwards. And that was around, I was about 3 or 4 at the time. So, you know, most of my adult life, there has been, you know, a deliberate, and, you know, as I said, we don't need to go into who it is, but like, at least you can say it's satanic. You know what I mean? Because at least, you know, that it's Luciferian, right? You know, that it has a kind of intelligence
think it's
of that nature.
sometimes more terrifying to think that it's not. To think that it's actually people who have a vision for a better world and we're not in it. I wrote a play about it. And they're actually going, look, everything's bad now. It's like, say, a golf course. We got all these kangaroos and go, look, it's going to be a great golf course. It's going to be the best golf course in the world. We just got to get rid of.
And of course, you see that's how they sell it to ethnic minorities.
I think that's what they're seeing now. Because the other thing,
and that's where the anti-white narrative comes from.
Theory. It's been interesting hearing people now talking about 8 billion people on the planet. Is that a real number? Because the other night I grokked and I asked Grok one question. One two-part question. Add up how many cities in the world have over 1 million residents, and then add up the population of those cities. And it was 1.83 billion. So Grok is expecting me to believe that the other 6.7 billion people live in little country towns.
They actually do, though. I mean, if you go to places like Africa...
I think they do, actually, when I asked another question.
Yeah, they do, actually.
But it's interesting to see whether... But other people are coming out saying that's not the case. There's people
but if you look in countries like China,
yeah.
India, Africa, which is where the major population, you know, because there aren't that many. I mean, the idea that white people like us
did you sense it was overpopulated when you were in Africa?
We talk about all non-white people as being minorities. The true minority on this planet is us. We are the minority, right? And we are the ones under attack. You know, and you know, because no one is flooding, you know, Africa with white people. Maybe we used to do that back in the day, but you know, we don't do that anymore. And we're not flooding India with white people, and we're not flooding China with white people. They're flooding us with them. And
well, I have to
they're
get
human
this
bioweapons.
going to shock you. I saw Thomas Sewell did an interview with this guy that was attacking him. A left guy got him on to do a debate, and Thomas was very quiet for once, very quiet, very calm. And I thought, what's he going to say? And the guy was talking about being a racist. You know, you're a racist, and this was really going for him with the lefty. Be confident that he's going to win. And then Thomas Sewell asked this question, and he would not answer. He would not deviate from that question. And he said, "Where would you rather live, Sudan or Switzerland?"
Of course.
And the guy said, that just says it all. Where would you rather? Anyway, eventually the guy admitted Switzerland. And then Thomas did something incredible. And I thought, wow, man, that's a great point. He said, if you picked up the Swiss people and put them somewhere else in the world, they would build another
Switzerland. Yeah, if you put them in Nigeria, they would build Switzerland. And why is there no Wakanda? You know,
we saw that with colonization.
And that's why I even say to all ethnic minorities, other people who are not white people, that you should support white people, because we are the people that build everything. We are the people that built civilization. Now, okay, we're not perfect. We have in the past we've gotten a little overexcited. I'll be the first to admit it. There are times in history we've gotten a little bit overexcited. You know what I mean? We're excitable boys and girls. So we've gotten a bit carried away at a couple of moments in history, and for that when they don't say sorry, we're not sorry, but that's just our nature. We get a little overexcited, and I tell you what, everyone should be really careful, because white people are getting overexcited again, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting very excited at the moment, and so.
But the Chinese have beaten us now on building.
Me, China has that beautiful technology, but they don't have freedom.
But they're leaving us behind.
They don't have liberty. Can you imagine having
I understand that.
China, but can you imagine having contemporary China but with freedom or a government?
Do you think if they had freedom, they couldn't build China?
look, it's complex. It's complex. It's like certainly, that system. It's like saying, it's like that old meme of the pyramids. Slavery gets shit done, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Like, it's true.
I hate to say
it gets shit done. And people are slaves. The idea that slavery is gone. Everyone just works for a paper that they invent out of nothing. Everyone is slaves.
Australians are slaves now. They're slaves to death.
Of course. Everyone is slaves.
They had to
and
take
like
the jab
there are slaves and slave masters. There's the person who holds the whip, and there's the person who gets the whip. So who you want to be, ladies and gentlemen? Personally,
and
I
now
prefer to hold the whip.
Lose your job for saying the wrong thing, they're defaulting to silence because they want to hold on to what they have. And so you give up freedom of speech, you're a slave. So we are slaves now. It's just different context. Yeah.
We need to really think in a non-empathetic way. And, you realize that you can say what you want about the globalists. Their approach is certainly non-empathetic. You know what I mean? When they want to do something, like if someone gets in their way, like Charlie Kirk, gone.
Collateral damage.
They're the first to go, bang, bang. That's the thing they do. They act. They have no conscience. Epstein Island, no problem. Bang, 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 bang. No conscience.
Look at the Pakistani rape
No second, and that is, it's terrible to say it really, but that is the mindset, that gets things done, that achieves results. Now, do you want to, become the monster to defeat the monster? That's the thing where because obviously European man could do that because they've certainly done it in the past, but I don't know, time will tell, but we live in very interesting times.
Which is a good time to live in. As the Chinese
That's right. And you should have Thomas Sewell on. Get him on to have a chat.
It'd be interesting. I would have a chat with him. It'd be interesting to see. I think he's got a lot of good points. It's just trying to bring back the Nazis is marketing design.
No, I don't think that's never, I think that's, some people just like to talk
squash tickets in the middle of Melbourne is not going to win you anything. And there's other ways to go about it. I think there's a way to defend the white race without actually having to go to certain extremes. But
it's like
people now know that we're in danger, and we have a.
Sure.
I had that. I don't know if you saw that argument.
But say you were a left winger. Say you were
that debate I had with that left-wing people. Did you actually watch it? Where I sent it to you, where the guy I said to him, you're allowed to be a proud black man, but I'm not allowed to say I'm a proud white man. And I stuck to my ground and said, why can't I be proud? And it was really interesting now because I think other white people are going, this empathy is enough, We have a right,
and I think,
right to defend our
and
culture.
Also too, there are different what you call racism or whatever. There's say, for example, when you have a group of black people who are very proud of the fact that they're black, that doesn't necessarily mean that they feel that they're superior to anybody. They're just proud of their own ethnicity and their own ethnic whatever. And just about every ethnic group on the planet can have that, except for white people. And and that is a problem. I really think. Why can't white people be proud of that? But the problem appears when it's a supremacy. That's the when there's a group of people who think that they're better than everybody else.
Yes,
and not only do they think it, they're acting on it. So obviously you have Zionism, which seems to think it's definitely There's a guy who said that one Jewish life is worth 10 million Palestinians. That's obviously supremacist thinking. And there certainly have been white people that have thought that in the past, but that I think is when the problem arises, and that when people are just talking about a group collectivizing for its own benefit, that's not racism. Any more than black pride or Jewish pride is is racism. It's only when it's supremacy. I think that's when people should need to be concerned if they want to be concerned about that thing. Because obviously I'm not concerned about it. But
my sister did my DNA, did my family's DNA. I didn't even know. So my father is 100% Welsh.
Beautiful.
And I thought, wow, who's 100% anything? 100% Welsh. I'm 100% Celt, Scottish, Irish, Welsh. And I'm proud of that. I thought, wow, fantastic. And if there'd been other colours in there, I would have thought, oh, great, a bit of this and a bit of that, but I'm not. And so all of my ancestry is white people. And I'm not going to shame them by being embarrassed.
Well, I've never done the I've never done the DNA thing, but my
I'm
mother's
glad I
done the
wasn't
whole
turned out to be a
tree.
serial killer. That's handy.
My mother's done the whole tree, back about,
Oh, really?
24 times, and it's all it's either Scottish, Anglo-Saxon, like English, or there's some Celt, there Celt, maybe a bit of Irish. That's it. As far as but there could be a rabbi in there. Who knows? Who knows? that would be funny, wouldn't it? That would be funny.
One of my favourite Australians I met, he's got a real thick Aussie accent, and he was a big supporter of the plays, and now he watches the show. Graham, if you're watching, Graham, he looks like a Chinese old wise man. He absolutely looks Chinese. He's got the things down here, but he's Aussie. But his parents were white, but they were real white. But the father was asleep around, and the mother decided to get back at the father and screw someone. And guess who lived next door?
Who?
A Chinese guy.
Wow.
And his mother, for a whole life, said, no, that's not your father. Your father is your real father, who looks like a Viking, and he looks like Mao Zedong. And so he's had to go his whole life with everyone thinking he's Chinese. He can't speak it. He doesn't know the culture. It's just his mum went out for Chinese one night. And
it's interesting the way Justin Trudeau looks like, Castro. Look, Trudeau looks like Castro, and apparently Justin Trudeau's mother hung out with Castro back in the day, around the time he was born. There you go. The revolution, must.
Why wouldn't you shag Castro if you had a chance? To be honest, I mean, you're in this historic character.
If you're a left-wing woman, you definitely would have shagged. It'd be like shagging Che Guevara, wouldn't it? And I actually quite like Castro, believe it or not. I went to Cuba in 2012, and I actually thought it was a remarkably holistic country. It didn't have a lot of, there weren't 12 types of Oreo. You know what I mean? But but for example, there's no taxi system in Cuba. there were people driving in their cars, and you'd put out your hand, and it was just some family guy on his way home, and you'd jump in his car with him, and you'd drive 5 kilometers, and then you'd give him 10 pesos, which is like 10 cents or whatever, and he'd be like, and you'd have a chat.
Oh, it's like pre-Uber.
And also the cars were all 1950s, like pre-revolution, that have all been maintained and that are extraordinary. Yeah. I loved Cuba when I was there. The bookshops were incredible. And it was like, you had books on everything. You had right-wing books. It appeared to be no censorship of the books. Like, it was a real book culture, and we stayed with the family. Like,
great. You get free healthcare.
My impression of Cuba that it was actually better than most of America. Obviously, New York and Los Angeles have certain qualities, and obviously I really like the South. I really like Louisiana and New Orleans, and I really like the South because it was just more hospitable, and the people. And what's funny is the black and white people who supposedly hate each other in the South, they were super polite, even when they were racist and didn't like each other, but they were very polite. Whereas up north, everybody was bad-tempered and get out of my way, asshole, and that's where all the terrible violence and everything was going on. But there you go. It's strange.
Well, is there anybody we haven't insulted tonight?
We got everybody, mate. The thing about the books too. The AI companies are destroying the books. I think that's terrible. So maybe we'll do another.
Oh, I saw that. They're cutting the spines off books.
They're buying $1 million worth of books.
Yeah.
They're finding an archive of books. They're buying everything. They're cutting off the spine. They're what's it called? Taking the text and then burning the book. I mean, it's Fahrenheit 451 is literally happening. As we speak. God. Obviously, it's not every book, but the very fact that we need to build up archives of this stuff because it's like a library of Alexandria. Because who knows? Maybe some of these books really are the only copy of that book that exists. Because they're buying old libraries.
If you're a book dealer, you'd know that.
So some books are being. That will be the last copy sometimes.
Or a book signed by someone.
I can read this at the moment.
Signed copy.
Chaos, which is about Charles Manson and the CIA, MK Ultra. It's a really great book. This is a first edition I picked up here that I've been reading. And obviously the Odyssey by Homer. Obviously everyone's into that because of Christopher Nolan's film. You can just
have you seen it yet? You seen the film?
Yeah, I did see it, and I didn't think the woke casting was that bad. I mean, obviously I didn't like it, but it was only cameos. It was about 10 minutes of woke casting of Alan Page and the Black Helen of Troy. Really, the film, oddly enough, there is a right-wing interpretation of the film, because in the film, Odysseus has been off at the war, and he has a lot of trouble getting home. He's a lot of witches and women who, the sirens, and this woman who gives him drugs, and Calypso, and who keeps him on the island with the lotus eaters and all this stuff. So eventually, he does get home, and there's a whole group of foreigners.
Don't tell us. We want to see it. But it's
no.
But what did you think? Because my son saw it. My son's a mad film fan, and he thought it was good, but he didn't think it was the best of Nolan's.
It was good. It's a white guy revenge film, really, and it's how if people overstay their welcome in your country, you can kill them all. So actually, I thought it had a right-wing message. That's the message. If people overstay their welcome, you can get rid of them. So there's a very interesting.
Oh, lastly,
he's made the fascist film of the year, mate. So there you go. The Trojan horse is the fact that he's cast a black Helen of Troy, which is a Trojan horse, to hide the fact he's made the most right-wing film of the year. So that's my little cheeky interpretation of that, because that's what it's about. Isn't it? The Trojan horse is a trick. It's a trick.
What did you think of Elon's interview with that woman from?
I love it. I mean, it's exactly correct. I mean, the far right is just normal people. What is called the far right is just normal people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Today, as I said, people who want to have borders,
yes.
who just want to have, you can walk down the city streets without being macheted or having your business burnt to the ground. The fact that you don't want your kids taught all this Marxist woke bullshit, And
other interesting thing of the week.
I mean, Hughesy. What do you think of Hughesy? Hughes's come out against Labor because he was a lot.
Hughesy Hughes's the bomb, man.
What he said about coal, the fact that he was doing some comedy show and he goes, "There's like $1 billion worth of coal in a pile." And he goes, "What's going to happen to that?" He goes, "Oh, we're going to ship it to Europe." He goes, "What for?" Well, they're going to burn it. He says, "Why don't we just burn it and have cheap energy?" And then you have like that idiot Bowen who did like some thing at the press club today. And he's like going on about batteries and everything. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's like, and he says, "Oh, coal is unreliable. That's the only reason we've got a light on." And of course, what are they doing right now when they're talking about cows farting and all that stuff? They're going to build data centers that use so much energy that it makes your teeth hurt. It makes the fillings in your mouth glow.
And use cow farts to charge
So the people who are worried about cow farts are going to use so much energy, and obviously that's to build this kind of digital prison that they want to put us all in. The level of bullshit that we are living in is just off the charts, and it's just a relief that we're here. Cafe lockdown.
I just want to say one thing today. I don't know if you saw it. It's only happened today. There was, I think it was Cambridge University or one of the universities in England was celebrating this 38-year-old black professor.
Oh, the black guy. Yeah.
And
diversity, equity, inclusion.
PhD is fraudulent. He's just a scam.
Of course.
He's just scammed his way in. But they're so desperate to go, "Look, we got a black professor here."
Yeah. I know. I mean, it's almost embarrassing for their agenda, And I mean, I've been to Cambridge University. I've attended lectures at Cambridge.
She sunk the ship.
I love the Cambridge University Press, and I mean, it's just extraordinary. The idea that all this is under threat, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I know. Like England has the most incredible institutions.
There was a debate in England. Did you see the Tommy Robinson and his followers were in? I think it was Cambridge as well, and they were having a debate. And it was
and they had that Muslim woman who's like, "Aren't you glad that the Muslim security is here because they're protecting you?" And that's another thing, and that's a deliberate thing. I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you go to public events, say you go to a concert or you go to the MCG to watch football, the security are Muslims. So first of all, they're the people we're supposedly they're the reason there is security. You know what I mean? And they are the security. That's a level of they're fucking with us. You see it everywhere.
I'll give you a perfect example. I actually don't
know. The jihadists are the ones guarding you.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Muslim thing. I just got to tell you a really funny story, though. Howard came out with an advertising slogan once, and it goes, be aware, not alarmed. And basically that was where, and it was all about Muslim extremists. I think it was after 9. Anyway, it was all about, and I just started on the trams, right? And I go to get up my tram in the morning, and the security guard, Muslim, gets out with his prayer mat. He's been praying in the tram. I thought, so he's been with my tram all night by himself. He could have filled it full of explosives for all I know. So when I'm going through the centre of Melbourne and going, next stop, the moon.
Boom.
Because they were saying they've got to be worried about Muslims, and they were paying Muslims to look after them.
I know.
And
it's just the level of trolling. It's the same actually when you get on a plane. I mean, most of the security is Muslim. It's like, and of course, you know, if my mother goes to the airport, you know what I mean? They stop her for a bomb test, but like the 4 Pakistani gentlemen, you know, who are like military age, who are holding giant bags, go straight through. But the 84-year-old Australian woman, oh, hang on, you carrying a bomb? We'll do your bomb test on you. You look suspicious.
Yeah, my dad gets done every time. Every time he goes to the airport.
It's always the boomers. They're the ones. It's like they pick them to somehow like humiliate them. It's just the level
I get
of
done
trolling.
every time. Every time they go, can we search you?
You know, it's like, do we have to live in this clown world? You know what I mean? Can't we just have some resemblance of our countries back? And that's why these parties, One Nation, you know, Reform, AFD, Le Pen, you know, all over the Trump, everything. That's why they're so popular, because they at least are offering a semblance of having a country again. And, you know, as I said, we do need to go further than these parties are offering, but at least if we can get them, then we can jump off into the where we really want to be. But like, you know, that's just the first step in the right direction. So it's very important to take it, and that's why I think we should.
Thank you for coming on, mate. I knew you'd be fun. It's a good way to do it, and it's I think it's best to have you on by yourself, because David is so great too, and others. But you really need your own space. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I love David, and he's been away over in Thailand. Apparently, he's been holidaying with the. You know, he's very bourgeois. You know what I mean? It's just all the elite. Probably George Soros been hanging out with George Soros over in Thailand. No, I think he hangs out with some, I don't know who, but like people connected to these conferences, I think, that they do over in, you know, what's Graham Hancock, people like that, who's actually the executive producer of David Russell's Forbidden Book Club show, which is highly recommended, which you should look at. Wow. There you go. Cool. Graham Hancock.
All right, we're going to go out with, this is a song by, so I met this guy called Troy on the road. I've met him a few times. I've interviewed him twice. And he used to be a muso, but he can't do music anymore because of his circumstances, getting a band together. Anyway, because he was watching my AI music, he started creating AI music. This is called True Blue, and he wanted to do an update of the old True Blue songs. This is brilliant, and he's sending me these all the time. G'day, Dave. Have a listen to this. We're actually sending this through today through to One Nation to see if they'll use it. So going from there. Anyway, Richard, take care of yourself. And but this song, this is a Nearworm. This is a big hit. So we need a video for it, Troy. But have a listen. Take care, Richard. Bye-bye.
Check it out. Great talking, mate.
I don't need a lie. Need a medal. I don't need a lie. Just someone on my side when the hard times fly. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. We all bleed red, and I'm standing by you. True Blue, True Blue. That's what mates do. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue.
I think that was the short version. This is the real version. It's a great song. He also...
On the dirt by the fence line, I seen it turn mean. Boots in the dust, and it looked like a machine. With the political enforcement officers, listen to me and you. When we are in a fight, when the grass gets chewed, I don't need a medal, I don't need a lie. Just someone on my side when the hard times fly. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. We all bleed red, and I'm standing what mates do. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. Woo! Have you been stabbed? I don't think so, mate, but I saw your jaw go tight at the busted gate, standing by your mate. When they're in a fight means staying in the ring and keeping it right. If the storm rolls over and the trouble comes through, I'll plant my boots there and I'll stand with you. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. We all bleed red, and I'm standing by you. True Blue, True Blue, that's what mates do. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. Down by the war shrine, firing bullets at peacetime. When will they realize we're their own kind? Mates through and through, red dusted the good book and Versailles. Remember what our diggers did for me and you. Blue bees among the yellow, some say 832, but no matter who, I'll plant my boots there and I'll stand with you. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. We all bleed red, and I'm standing by you. True Blue, True Blue, that's what mates do. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. Now past the paddock, past the wire and dust, a good mate's shoulder is the one thing you trust. No fancy words, just a hand held firm when the road turns rough. That's where hearts learn. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue. We all bleed red, and I'm standing by you. True Blue, True Blue, that's what mates do. We all bleed red, but the nickname is True Blue.